Hello everyone. This is Anil Kumar. I'm here to talk about 5G infrastructure automation. And let me give you a little bit intro about myself. So I studied at Harrisburg University, worked at Verizon, and I'm currently working at United Airlines as a DevOps engineer. Now, when you hear of 5G, most people immediately think of faster Netflix or smoother Zoom calls and maybe one or two dropped calls less, right? So it's all about 5G. So I will explain something more about 5G today. But what if I told you we used 5G not to binge watch more TV, but to help cities think? We automated the traffic, improved emergency response, even made energy usage more sustainable. We gave cities a digital nervous system. And today I'm walking you through, not in theory, but real world deployed solutions. You'll see how edge computing, small cells, automation, and good old DevOps made cities faster, smarter, and cleaner. Right, so let's dive in the first section of it. It's a smart city problem. Let's go back to the straight point. The mess cities are now, well, complicated, but their systems are way behind. Like when you compare traffic lights are like set on 2005 timers with the grid locks and all right. So like power grids always on, whether you need it or not. Emergency services like often routing through traffic with no dynamic data, like when an ambulance is trying to go, so they just follow the GPS and go and follow through the routes which they gave. One funny example, in one city the light system couldn't be updated remotely. We had to send someone out, but with the USB stick there, and that's not outdated, that's prehistoric. It wasn't just inefficient, it was dangerous, wasteful, and expensive. Need a manpower. We need a real-time data-driven cities that were 5G and DevOps. That's where DevOps came in, and we come up with some strategy. Here, the DevOps revolution, right? So when I talk about the DevOps revolution, so where DevOps meets infrastructure. Usually when you hear, right, DevOps, you think deploying microservices, managing CI/CD, etc. But we used DevOps to deploy networks. Every router, switch, and edge was defined as a code, like an infrastructure as a code. We had Terraform plans that spun up 5G clusters. We did it in AWS. Helm charts, configured edge services, pipelines, auto-tested latency, bandwidth, even failures. Instead of saying, let's send a guy with a ladder, we said, let's push to prod. We reduced deployment time by 85%. You know, what I'm trying to say is that, so instead of sending a person with a USB stick along with a ladder, so what we just did was let's push it to the prod, whatever the automation we did. We reduced the deployment time by 85% and created rollback options that didn't exist in the real traditional networking. So here comes our next slide, which is like a building the low latency network. So it's about a latency breakdown I'm talking here. To make smart cities smart, they need to respond instantly. We need a sub 10 milliseconds latency. That meant small cells on the light poles, building buses basically anywhere with power and Wi-Fi, and fiber backhaul connecting everything. Edge nodes during local processing, no more round trips to a cloud 2000 miles away. This enabled, right, live video analytics, real-time alerts, and autonomous drone patrols. We are talking milliseconds here. That's less than a blink. Imagine a camera spots a fire and instantly reroutes the traffic with the dispatching alerts, no waiting, no bottlenecks, instantly reroutes the ambulances to a different route so that you can save lives. So it's like interesting thing we built here. So next I'll go to the section 4, which is a IoT mess, like a IoT ecosystem, what we presented. So it's like we have connected like network, we layered in devices, lots of them. So like 10,000 connected endpoints per square mile, smart meters, pollution sensors, cameras, emergency buttons, EV chargers, So all talking, adapting, learning autonomously. We didn't just install gadgets, but we created a nervous system for the city. One time, our sensors picked up an air quality spike and rerouted a school buses away from it. So that isn't that mesmerizing? So no humans involved in there, like just the systems have been taken care, and the system just knew it. So it has picked up an air quality in the air and spike and rerouted the traffic along the distances. So here comes our next slide. It's a smart traffic management, which we call it as a smart traffic and power. So I will talk a little bit about the smart traffic here. With AI-powered video analysis, our system adjusted traffic lights in a real time. So I told you, right? So the traffic got rerouted in the previous slides. So it's like a lights adapted to the congestion, not timers, like what we talk about previous slides. Green waves reduced stop and start driving. Emergency corridors were dynamically opened for the ambulances and fire trucks. We reduced commute times by 25% and cut idle time in half. That's gas saved, time saved, and air cleaned up, right? So now on to the power. We used a smart grids, IoT meters that automatically balanced energy. A solar output high, charge the EV stations, demand low at night, power street lights using stored batteries, neighborhood surge, shift load instantly. And this led to a 35% reduction in the city using it and 28% drop in the carbon output. And it was just efficient and it was sustainable. So that's where my smart traffic and power management comes in. And let's do the next slide, which is how we rolled it out into the real-time traffic. Here, this wasn't just a one-day magic or something like that. It was structured and in a phases like assessment phase and automation work, pilot zone, parallel rollout, and all. So assessment phase is every duck pole and antenna was mapped in the assessment phase, in the initial phase. Then afterwards, it's an automation framework. There comes our picture like building a CI/CD pipelines with a build for infrastructure, and all this comes into the automation framework. And next phase, we went to the pilot zone. We started in dense downtown zones, like where we have a heavy traffic and also to test it out. So we did that as a pilot zone phase. And after that parallel rollout using IAC and GitOps, we scaled city-wide. So we treated infrastructure like software, like clean, modular, testable. Each deployment validated itself, and yeah, as I mentioned, this all conducted in a phases. So that helped a lot for us to move forward. So here comes the real impact, like a measurable impact, what we have achieved using this one, right? I'll tell you the numbers, right? So it's all about 23% lower commute times, 42% of a faster emergency response, and 35% of our energy savings have been showed up, and 64% bump in resident satisfaction. These are like approximate values what we collected so far from the automation. This wasn't just a dashboards and data I was talking here. It was a people living better lives, like when it comes to the commuter, whatever the automation we did using the 5G. One city manager said, we used to respond to the problems, now we prevent them. That isn't that amazing? Yep. So that's what we achieved with the automation. And next to the scaling to the global cities. What we talk here about is a scalable architecture and open standards and knowledge transfer. So we didn't want to be a one-time success here. So we open sourced the blueprint model, which is a modular playbooks, vendor neutral tech, and a training program for cities. So now, as I spoke, we are working with the 15 plus cities globally, scaling up with the AI-driven automation and adding privacy-fast designs. So citizen trust is built in. This is the future, and it's repeatable. So scalable architecture, when we talk about is our framework seamlessly adapts to metropolitan areas of any scale. Implementation can be phased. Yeah, so this is, as I told, this is the future and it's unrepeatable. When it comes to the path forward, or what it is, expanding the partnerships and enhanced privacy framework and advanced AI integration. So this all comes under the forward thinking, like a path forward, what I'm talking. And it is a wrap up to wrap up everything. So 5G isn't just a speed, it's about a smart infrastructure. And DevOps isn't just for a code, it's also for automating cities, just as an example, as I mentioned. We're not just solving traffic jams, we are building a future where cities think, adopt, and care for their people in the real time. And thanks so much for listening my speech. I'm happy to take your questions. And yep, that's all. And guys, have a good day.